Hey guys, Chris Black from Winged Foot Title, checking in for another Title Tip Tuesday. Today we're going to talk about estoppel letters, what they are, who pays for them, how long they take to get, and why they're important to us as a title insurance agency and to you as either a real estate consumer, buyer or seller, or a real estate professional, a realtor and or lender. So let's start with what is an estoppel letter and why do you care, or why should you care? An estoppel letter is simply a written statement from a community association or management company that certifies a number of really, really important things to us and to you. Now, by community association, we mean either a condominium association or a homeowners association. So if you're looking at houses, or if you're selling a house or property, or if you're working in that situation as a realtor, that's within a condominium or homeowners association, this is really something that you need to pay attention to. So in a nutshell, the estoppel letter will tell us a few different things. It will tell us how much the association dues are and how frequently they're paid. It's going to tell us what, if any, special assessments or capital contributions are due. I mean, special assessments might have been levied by the association to cover any sort of unplanned capital expense, like hurricane damage, things like that. And a capital contribution is something that a buyer will typically make, if required, to the association to pad the association's capital account. It's almost like an initiation fee. It'll also tell us what, if any, violations of the association's rules and regulations exist on the property. So if the mailbox is the wrong color, or the grass is too high, or something along those lines, so that we can know about that and then have the seller side fix those up before closing. And finally, it's going to tell us what, if any, applications need to be made by the buyer for approval by the association. So really important stuff. Again, some just sort of housekeeping issues, and some, like the amount of the association dues and that sort of thing, very important title requirements for us. So let's talk next about who pays for the estoppel, how much they cost on average, and how long they take to get, because these are all really important things that everybody wants to know. So in the standard Florida Realtors purchase and sale agreement, the seller is responsible for paying for the fees to generate the estoppel letter. Now, estoppel letters can range in cost from free to $250. And the $250 limit is a statutory limit. So that's in the Florida statutes. More often than not, these associations and their management companies require payment up front for estoppels. So in most cases, that means that sellers are going to have to pay for that estoppel either by check, sending it directly to the management company or community association, whoever's generating the letter, or by credit card. And again, the estoppel is a requirement for us to get to closing. So it's really important that people understand these requirements going into their transaction, because this is often an unpleasant surprise. Now, the $250 cap is for an estoppel letter that's issued within at least 10 business days from the date of ordering. That, again, is the statutory limit. If you need it, or if we need it more quickly, they can add another $100, moving it up to $350. And if any of the accounts, let's say the owner hasn't made their association dues payments in a while, if the accounts are delinquent, they can add $150 to that tab as well. So the timing is really important. If the $100 for the rush estoppel fee is really important. So it's definitely something to keep in mind. So let's kind of summarize what we've talked about, and then I'll kind of throw in a couple tips just based on our experience that we've seen here at Wingfoot that can cause some trouble, and knowing them, you can avoid that trouble. So again, the estoppel letter is required to get to closing if the property is within a community association, whether that's a condominium association or a homeowners association. Again, they often cost money up front. If you're a listing agent, please make sure to explain that to your sellers when you're in that listing stage. So we often find people, again, every day, surprised by that. And it often leaves a kind of a nasty taste in people's mouths. So do what you can to prepare your clients for those upfront estoppel fees. Again, they can take up to 10 days. So if you're planning on closing more quickly than that, if you've got a quick close, like a cash deal, please make sure that everybody understands that on the one hand, we have to get the estoppel back in order to close. So that could take up to 10 days. And on the other hand, if you want a rush estoppel fee, the management company and or association can charge an extra $100 to rush that order. And even if it's rushed, it's only within 3 days is the statutory limit there. Lastly, if you're a buyer or a buyer's agent, I would encourage you not to wait until we get the estoppel letter back to find out if an application is required. Because the application to become a member of the association is sometimes a requirement. You should know that going in just based on the community association documents. But it's worth a phone call or an ask to the community association manager or someone on the board to find out whether or not the application is required, and then how long it takes for the application to get approved. So if application is required and approval is required before closing, we're going to have to wait for that in order to close. We've had some real issues with community associations dragging their feet on approvals and causing delays in closing. So again, as a buyer or a buyer's agent, please reach out to your community association and figure out whether or not that application is required, and do what you need to do to get that application in as quickly as possible during the executory period. So that's about it on estoppels. That's quick and dirty. But thanks as always for the time. We really encourage your questions, your comments, your shares, your follows, and we'll see you at the closing table.